Welcome to your weekly program, BelAhdan, a show with an accent for those without one. As I'm coming here to the studio, I just got the news in Egypt, they fired the Ministry of Justice, not because of all the atrocity committed by the court and the justice system in Egypt that has been used by General Sisi as a political and oppressive tools to eliminate opposition, but for some kind of outrageous statement that he made that on national television, that and I think he's stating that, you know, the son of a trash collector or a janitor cannot be a judge or cannot work in the Ministry of Justice because this is an honorable position, and that son of that janitor or the trash collector cannot possibly function in that system, and eventually, as he put it, he's going to get depressed and maybe commit suicide or leave. There was an outrageous from Egyptian people, social media, and people were saying, you know, Minister of Justice full of trash. They actually need the trash collector more than ever. And eventually, Sisi, since his system has been rotten enough to handle some of this controversial, and then he was forced to resign. This is what another item also coming from Egypt. I'm a little bit biased. A book I've been waiting for months. Walls of Freedom, documented, a most documented book about the Egyptian Revolution. It's a must read, or a collection of wonderful. I know the Egyptian started graffiti and draw on the walls since the ancient Egypt. Very good book, Walls of Freedom. If you are interested, you can get it on Amazon or what have you. Okay, I think, you know, the news, everything locally here, been talking about the 6 young Somali men that have been arrested a couple of weeks ago because of their planning and plotting to go and fight with ISIS in Syria or what have you. Also before that, you know, 50 organizations from the Somali community, Muslim community, was signing off to this CVE, and that program countering violent extremism that made, I think, focusly on the Muslim community and in particular Somali community, to kind of lure young Somali away from extremism and kind of getting some of the organizations in the Somali community, like schools, mosque, foundation, to sign off with the Justice Department and the FBI, and the law enforcement get involved in this social activity is raising a lot of outcries, a lot of criticism from the community. And especially after we found out there was a paid informant was behind that arrest of the 6 young Somali men. Now a lot of organizations now signing a petition or a response to that arrest by refusing the assumption that young Somalis are really prone to be extremism. We have our guest, very special guest today, Brother Abdisalam Adam. He's a chairman of the Board of Islamic Civic Society of America, which operate Dar al-Hijra Mosque. He also a teacher. He also participates in public school, family engagement, community relationship, and you know, all of this. He actually went to Washington to sign on that CVE program. About this, welcome to BelAhdan, Brother Abdisalam. I know you went to Washington with other Muslim community leaders. You were a staunch supporter of the program, and you thought there was a need for it. A month later, the arrest of those 6 young Somali, and the fact a lot of people say there was an entrapment. This is young as 18. This has been going on for 4 or 5 even 6 years. I mean, one of them was like 13 years old, 14 years old, very young kids.
Thank you. Let me go back a little bit and put things in perspective. It's not the CV itself, but generally engagement, community engagement with the government when there are issues of concern. So what happened was when the new U.S. attorney was appointed in February of, I think, about a year and a half ago, he contacted the Somali community and the Muslim community in general, held a series of meetings and listening sessions, getting to know the community, which is not new. I think our engagement with the U.S. Attorney's Office started right after September 11. Mr. Heffelfinger was the U.S. Attorney at that time, and then Todd Jones afterwards. So as a community, of course, we're new immigrants, and there was a struggle. I mean, engaging the government, there was fear of authority and government.
We came from
yeah, so we're very skeptical and kind of worried. But we learned from experience and other communities that it's beneficial for communities to engage the government authorities so that when issues come up, then you will be a place to start from, at least, so we saw that as something that's a way to go.
Positive or?
Positive engagement, yeah. So this, when the U.S. Attorney started these meetings with the imams, with families, there was we raised many issues. One of them was the airport profiling. That's constantly, still an issue that we need to, something has to be done about that. Another one was some Islamic centers and mosques facing difficulty from the neighborhood that they were going to be open, so to look into that. And then another one was about crime in general and youth issues, gang-related, or youth killing other Somali youth specifically. So as these discussions were going on, which we saw as that relationship building that has been going on for years. I mean, different levels and different times. Then the White House announced the summit in Washington, and so there was this pilot project of the Twin Cities, Boston as Los Angeles, to come there and learn about what the federal government intends. It was quite high level. The president himself signed off his name on it. Vice President Joe Biden also was there. Our congressional delegation, Congressman Ellison, the two senators, they were all there. And there was a general sense of, yes, there are problems, and then we want the Muslim community and the community that these issues concern should be part of the solution. So kind of environment of inclusion. All of them clearly stating that it will not be used for intelligence gathering or for spying, but rather to work together. So that's the context that we attended the summit in Washington. Everybody, speaking that same language of inclusion and working together. And then when we came back, the direction of the project is for every city to have its own plans and structure. So it's not one size fits all. So in Minneapolis, you people in Minneapolis or Twin Cities meet, decide on the needs. So here, the pilot project, it's called Building Community Resilience. So we're not looking at specifically CV or extremism or terrorism specifically, but rather...
This is all codes.
I mean building the community, and therefore building the necessary resources, the structure, bringing the community organizations together, and they work together to resolve these issues. The arrests that happen, of course, whenever an arrest happens, it's sad. And it's even sad that we're talking about this because going back to Somalia's civil war, we ran away from a war situation. Every family and every mother came to the United States to have good future and good education for her children and for their children. So even when this issue started back in 2006, 2007, with Al-Shabaab issue, even there was sense of nationalism. Then now, ISIS. So it's really something that's really baffling. So there is a problem, and it's not a Somali problem. It's not a Muslim problem. It's a problem that affects all of us. So how do we work together and solve these issues? So of course the arrest is very sad. But the investigations had preceded this specific pilot project. I mean, I remember May of last year, 2014, when the government agencies contacted community leaders and Imam and said, oh, we're hearing about young people leaving, and then you as a community, you need to be aware. The parents have contacted us. So it was already going on. So it's not necessarily something that's a product of this immediate pilot project. So just to clarify things. So my position still is government engagement is very important. Life in general is not a zero-sum issue. There are things, give and take. We need the government needs us.
But when
so that's where we're coming from, that issue of solving the problem together. Yeah, and of course the issue of that's where we're coming from. So that working together. So there need to be transparency, there need to be clarity, and so there are many assurances that the government is saying it will not be used for surveillance and for spying. So
also for this to work, you need trust.
Right.
Do we still trust? I mean, I understand we all need to work with the government. That's everybody, not just Somali.
Right.
But you're talking about law enforcement.
Right.
FBI, that's their job to spy on people. Their job is safety and security and putting people in jail for one reason or another. And they also have their own agenda, funding. And I'm just surprised at the timing of it. Every time you get, they need funding or they need something from Washington, you get this high publicized arrest. And then at the end, it's entrapment, talking about out of, based on the fear factor. There's a book about studying all the FBI terrorist cases. You're talking about out of 505 cases, 90% of them were entrapment or luring the people, borrowable, pay the informants and all of that. So the reputation is not that good with us, racial profiling and all of that. Why should we trust the FBI? Why should we trust the law enforcement where, in fact, their history with the minority, their history with Muslims, and even post 9/11 is really not, trustworthy, to be honest with you.
Of course, trust is the bottom line for any kind of work or to happen, and trust needs time and it needs a lot of building. So I'm not blindly trusting and saying, 100%.
Trust,
we agree.
Verify, like Reagan says.
Even the trust, it still needs many steps. I mean, the project is a pilot project. It's only in the beginning stages. We're still closely watching. If it turns out, because the president himself has clearly said, and the congressional delegation have said it, it's not just the FBI. There's also the local police, Minneapolis, St. Paul, whom also as community we need their support and for protection. So we're still very vigilant. If it comes clear that this outreach or these resources that are being built are being used, abused, definitely we'll yell, and we're asking the media and everybody to know and to be aware of. So it's not that we're blindly following and saying we're going to just support
sign off on everything you say.
No, we're going to be watching very closely. Also, concern for our young people. I mean, every young person that goes to jail is a loss to our community. So we also don't want to feed the prison pipeline. As a public school teacher, we're really concerned about dropout issues. We're really concerned about youth violence. So again, this extremism, whether real or imagined, there is a problem. We want to save our children from falling into to the wrong hands.